Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the old world. I hope you're all doing well, and today, my friends, we're back with a tournament showdown here between Kislev and Bretonnia. It's going to be Janithor facing off against the true Bretonnian, so it should be quite a bit of fun. Two underdog factions for sure. Granted, I would say Bretonnia is a little bit stronger than Kislev. I think they kind of hang between a 40 and 50% win rate, but should be quite a bit of fun. Katarine, of course, giving her speech in the background. Now, as far as the Kislev army goes, kind of interesting. We have the triple Zargard with great weapons. You might be wondering, these are kind of like heavy anti-infantry units, right? So designed to kill things like Chaos Warriors, those really metal units. Now, Bretonnia obviously isn't known for its infantry, but going back to the days of Warhammer 2, a lot of Chaos players would essentially come in with like Chaos Warrior great weapons and just use them as a generalist unit. Like they would have enough armor piercing to deal with cavalry as well as infantry. So it looks like the Kislev player is going to be doing something somewhat similar. So there's going to be three of those backed up by the Kossars with spears. Obviously, a spear unit, much like Lothern Sea Guard. These guys are going to be able to fend off cavalry units and can certainly shoot against the Bretonnian archers. I think they have a little bit less range, though, so probably just like pure range value, the Bretonnian archers would win out on that. But obviously, these guys have much better leadership. They have By Our Blood. They can fend off cav units. So they're going to be a little bit happier. Now, for the Lord, it's going to be Tsarina Katarine. Looks like we do have Heart of Winter, which is a spell that I think needs to be heavily buffed. The fact that things like Cleansing Rune are just like exponentially better at a way cheaper cost is just absurd. Ice Sheet, Ice Maiden's Kiss. Little Grom is probably one of the best things on the roster against Bretonnia. You can shoot the cav units, you can put pressure on the archers, infantry, whatever. Little Grom is an absolute raid boss if they summon out Knights of the Realm or Questing Knights, which they do, and obviously we've seen the true Bretonnian kind of do that in tournaments, right? He was one of the first Bretonnian players to put him on the map by opening with infantry heavy builds and then just swarming with cavalry from the reinforcements, which is obviously pretty nice, right? So for Bretonnia, Prophetess of Beasts, that is interesting. Looks like it's going to be Pan's Pelt and Amber Spear. Really weird kit of spells for sure, considering how popular Dwellers is. Peasant Mobs, Men-at-Arms. We do have the Beast Slayers of Bastogne in the back. A second Paladin's going to be coming in, and Archers and Men-at-Arms going to be backing up the formation. So my one thing, like looking at this army, I'm like, there's no Fey Enchantress to mortise things down. It doesn't really seem to have a lot of tools against the elite infantry other than like weight of fire and just kind of throwing bodies at them. So we'll have to see how this works out. Peasant Bowmen obviously can just kind of drown things in firepower. If you get like 4 Peasant Bowmen putting a lot of firepower into the Zargard great weapons, they could potentially do some work. And I mean, Amber Spear from the side, I rarely see it work. It's kind of this thing you see high-level players try every now and then. You know, they'll mix it in from a game or two, maybe thinking it's some sort of like a secret tech, and then it just doesn't really work that well. I hope I'm proved wrong here. Let's see. So Amber Spear, okay, that wasn't bad at all. That was a nice little snipe on Katarine. Yeah, you usually see people try it on infantry, but that's not bad. I mean, depending on the Winds of Magic cost, obviously the Prophetess did take a little bit of overcast damage, and so far Kislev is going to be playing very defensively. Not really playing the back objective. You do have some Questing Knights in the dreaded Lance formation coming around, so if they do get that charge, their charge bonus is now 57, which is pretty good. And they're going to be getting acceleration, all sorts of other good stuff. And on the other side, we do have Questing Knights. So Kislev doesn't really have like a traditional halberd unit they can send over to kind of be independent against those elite armor-piercing cav units. Zargard great weapons would have a pretty bad time against Questing Knights. I mean, if they just stood and fought, the Zargard would win, but I think Questing Knights would be able to kind of pull in and out and really dictate the pacing of that battle. So the fight is on. Value trading, pretty even. You know, the damage against Zareen is pretty good. And now we get Snow Leopards coming out here from Janithor, which is a really good choice. Beautiful play. The Snow Leopards are going to be able to hunt down the Paladins, put a lot of pressure on them, and should be pretty good. And now, how is he going to be dealing with the Zargard? Just going to be like weight of pressure, I guess. Nonetheless, Kossars do get in range of the Peasant Bowmen, so should be able to start shooting him. And obviously, this is going to be a pretty heavy massacre in terms of melee trading. And the little Snow Leopard was able to put a little bit of work here on the Paladin. Now, another Amber Spear. Okay, this is again, the tech coming out of Korea. The Amber Spear for Lord Sniping. Everybody, for the longest time, was trying to make it work against like lines of infantry, but this seems to be doing pretty good. And Katarine's not under bear, so she's not going to be quite as tanky. And the Snow Leopard obviously needs to get over there and help. Now on the front line, Zargard obviously going to be cutting through Men-at-Arms. Talk about a huge mismatch. But looks like there's going to be an Ice Maiden's Kiss going down. Really good cast there by the Kislev player. Going to be helping to rout peasants. Now, it's not getting you a ton of value, but you obviously need to get through this eventually, right? So, you know, might as well get started. Now, the Questing Knights did come from the high ground, able to get a beautiful rear charge onto the back, and they will take some damage, and Kislevites do have insane leadership. I mean, even with that surround, the Zargard still have not popped By Our Blood, and they're still doing good damage, even against some of these elite Questing Knights here. In the backfield, Snow Leopard battling against the Paladin, kind of dancing back and forth, as the Paladin's going to be jumping up in the sky, looking to go after Katarine, and a big Heart of Winter, I think. No, Ice Sheet, followed up by Heart of Winter. Man, that could be a really good Heart of Winter, or is that going to be a Frostfang? Okay, that's pretty good as well. So it's going to be hitting those Questing Knights there, and they are slowed by the Ice Sheet, which certainly isn't bad. And that volume of fire, oh my goodness, from the Peasant Bowmen, just absolutely wrecking those Kossars with spears. basically having a little bit of a land battle here in the middle. Now, as far as value trading goes, it's actually very, very even. The Zargard are going to be able to break through the front line, except that one unit. But look at this one unit of Zargard, even getting rear charged and pounded by questing knights, inundated with infantry here. Those guys are holding up like champs, but it seems like Bretonnia is pushing them back a little bit. Ooh, I love the Ice Guard glaives, and the fact that there's no dwellers below makes them so much better. Ice Guard glaives, if they get into combat with questing knights, they're going to absolutely dominate them. They'll slow them down, make it harder for them to escape. You can see many of these knights are trying to get through here, but the old Ice Guard glaives able to get some good trading going. But Katarine is going to maybe be sent to the Shadow Realm. Amber Spear coming in for the kill, and she is down to 168. This is when you unsummon Katarine. Granted, Kislev doesn't really have bad leadership issues, so, you know, it's not the end of the world if Katarine goes down. Their leadership is so high. And the unsummon, oh no! With the steel chair, the Paladin gets in there. Man, what a goon. She was like 1 second away from getting unsummoned. Now, I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out over the course of this game. So questing knights in the backfield, double snow leopard, not bad. Little Grom is being chased back. As far as value trading, 4.5 to 6.3. Bretonnia certainly a little bit ahead here. The Zargard's still chopping through. The objectives are owned by Bretonnia, so the back objective owned by some foot squires, and the other objective is never taken by anybody. Now, this obviously is not good for Bretonnia, or excuse me, for Kislev, having their Kossars being taken down by 4 of these peasant archers. One of the unfortunate things about the Ice Guard is they have the same range as the peasant archers. Therefore, they could end up in like a really attrition-heavy trade, and they could be taking a little bit of damage. But really, really good micro here, the Bretonnian player getting these paladins back and forth as we see more and more Ice Guard come out. So I wonder if Kislev's going to be able to muster some sort of a comeback with those Ice Guard. I feel like it's going to be just tough because the peasant archers are just going to trade so well into them. Like, for Kislev to effectively deal with the peasant bowmen, you really, really need like some sort of magic. They don't have any sort of like catapult tech or bombers or anything like that. So something like an Icebane's Kiss or like the glacial bombardments. And finally, the snow leopards get their prize, ladies and gentlemen. The paladin is hunted down by the old school capture cats, although they don't really capture much anymore. But the paladin is taken down, so that's a pretty nice grab right there. And here are the Ice Guard glaives are going to be pulling back as the Zargard continue pushing up. Fire Blood is active for another 5 or 6 seconds. So these Zargard will be fighting a little bit longer here as, man, these Amber Spears. Okay, that one did miss. But as far as the Amber Spear value, it's about 1,000, and that's probably more or less what this character costs. Probably doesn't cost much of anything there. I don't know why that was such a tongue twister. But the Snow Leopards, still doing great against defenders of Fleur-de-Lis. They're anti-large and they're Frostbite. Very, very good utility for picking off those cavalry models. And we do get some Winged Lancers coming out. So finally, Kislev going to be matching Bretonnia in their cav duel. Now, the Kislevite cavalry are a little bit faster than Bretonnian cavalry, but typically in terms of just pure shock damage, I would say that Bretonnian, like Knights of the Realm and Grail Knights and Questing Knights, their damage output is very, very good. Although Griffin Legion's pretty damn solid too. It'd take a little bit of testing, I suppose. Granted, 3 Ice Guard glaives doing pretty good. Value trading's pulling pretty close. It's within about 800 points right now. So these Ice Guard glaives going to be ripping some shots into the advancing men-at-arms here. Obviously not cost-effective shooting into the haggard 200 gold shielded infantry, although I think shielded men-at-arms do cost a little bit more. But these Kislevites here are certainly going to be kicking some butt as the men-at-arms do get jumped. Now, more Winged Lancers moving up on the point, maybe going to be able to push them off, and they certainly need to capture this back point. Nobody's grabbed that one. It's been just an absolute knockdown, drag-out fight here between these two players. Little Grom is back online, and it looks like Kislev is kind of closing that gap, and the Bretonnian army is starting to falter a little bit. We do see a lot of routing. Granted, reinforcements have come from over the hill, and it's going to be some foot squires. So what is going to be the response from Janathor? Will he be summoning in some shock cavalry? Who knows, perhaps. Ice Guard glaives move in. They are infantry, and, you know, they probably will actually do okay against the foot squires, simply because their stats are just so much better. 33, 41, but they don't have that bonus versus infantry, and that's really going to help the foot squires out-trade them here. And it is a numbers game. Foot squires come with 120 models, and these guys obviously are more of a hybrid unit designed for fighting cav in your backfield, not so much fighting foot squires up close. Now we get some Streltsy coming out. Streltsy, of course, do have to worry about line of sight here. They're going to be trying to draw some fire, probably putting a little bit of hurt into the foot squires, but you would want to retreat the Ice Guard at this point, and then try and get that Streltsy firepower going. Now, more firepower coming from the high ground, armored Kossars, but we do get a Bretonnian charge as the Questing Knights do get on top of Little Grom here. And it seems like Bretonnia, yeah, really just in charge with all the objectives. I mean, they're at about 600 points. Kislev, though, if Bretonnia keeps pushing into Kislev territory, I can see Kislev equalizing the value and maybe starting to get back on objectives, because Bretonnia doesn't seem to have a whole lot on the battlefield. Some nice crossfire in the battlefield as the Snow Leopards do nibble down these Questing Knights and these Knights Errant. And the Armored Kossars will be pretty effective against the Peasant Bowmen. If they decide to move up on that middle objective, I can certainly see them doing quite a bit. This has been a great game so far. I mean, I know it's been very one-sided in terms of the objectives, but the trading has been incredibly fun for sure. Snow Leopard going after Knights Errant. Streltsy going to be continuing to shoot into those Knights. Armored Kossars putting a little bit of pepper into these foot squires that are finishing off the last of those Ice Guard glaives. And really, really good play with the Peasant Archers these games. They've been doing great. And, the classic face-to-foot style. Just we'll run them out of arrows by taking those arrows to our faces here. So Winged Lancers going to be jumping around, looking to dive into the backfield, going after these Peasant Bowmen. Perhaps, here they go, going after ye old Peasant Archers. Here they come for Urson. Now, this could be a game changer. These Peasant Archers have been an absolute menace. I mean, 800 value, 600, 500 here, and they're finally going to be getting hammered horribly by these Kislev cavalry, so that's going to be a nice charge right there. The other peasants probably going to be unsummoned, but I would imagine the cavalry will just be able to sweep through these. However, we do have Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis coming out, which in Lance formation might actually beat Winged Lancers on the charge. Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis, of course, are the Arroir, so they're going to be a little bit stronger, right? Now, the backfield, Little Grom's in a little bit of danger. Little Grom in a little danger, completely. Little Grom has gotten about 1,800 value so far, has been very good, and here you can see the Paladin being shot by the Streltsy. Still, Kislev has not had any time to go grab their side objective, maybe send some dervishes over there, but it looks like they're so focused on value trading, which I completely understand. The true Bretonnian's playstyle is so aggressive. He's just always in your face with cavalry. It makes it can really, if you're not prepared for it. I mean, I've copied his playstyle and have had, relative success. He's certainly better at it than I am, but I've had success in tournaments with it, just kind of being so aggressive and pushing, and it really puts your opponent on the back foot in terms of objectives and also trading. So, 12.8 to 11.9, about to be 12. Side objective still not controlled by anyone, and we do get some cavalry coming out, so Winged Lancer is going to be moving in to attack the Knights Errant. And the middle objective is going to be pushed up with some Kossar Great Weapons. Now, I do like the Great Weapon inclusion. I feel like the 80 armor is enough to mitigate Peasant Archers enough. And man, those little Grom shots have been so good this game. That Paladin's trying his best to get little Grom down, but the Streltsy have been putting up pretty consistent firepower on him. But 1,100 value on the Paladin. Big shots coming in, tanking his HP, but he's going for the kill on little Grom. 500 HP. Snow Leopard, actually. So he goes after the Snow Leopard. Snow Leopard should be able to turn around. Footsquire is finally broken, and is Kislev getting the momentum? Knights Errant are on their way in. Armored Kossars battling against Defenders of Fleur-de-Lis. Looks like the Winged Lancer is finally going to be given the order to go grab that side objective, which certainly makes sense. You got to get on the board a little bit. And the Streltsy, they might want to just move up. It seems like the Paladin is kicking some serious butt here. 1,300 value. The Ice Guard Glaives might be able to kind of put him down, though. They, of course, if they can pile in, apply that Frostbite. But man, really good micro. And again, he's going to be pulling back. He won't be able to one-shot the little Grom, but maybe if he charges, hits it, and then hits it one more time, he'll get there. Beautiful cannon shot right down the line of those Knights Errant. Armored Kossars Great Weapons moving up. Bretonnia at about 1,000 points here, but the back objective finally being taken by these Kislevite cavalry. Granted, their capture weight isn't insane, so it's going to take a little bit of time. And the Snow Leopard has returned, and the Ice Guard Glaives are going to be going for the kill. Oh yes, the Paladin stuck in limbo there as he tries to do a little bit of a dance on that unit. Streltsy going to be turning about face, and this is going to be a pretty heavy-duty shot, I would imagine, although they don't want to shoot their fellow Kislevites, which is very honorable. So they're going to shoot the cavalry as they retreat. Make sure to kind of buckle them down. As the Kossars of Spears are going to be moving up on the point here. Back objective, looking, not back objective. I mean, the little Grom is kind of the objective here for Bretonnia, isn't it? But this thing has gotten 2,100 value. I feel like 2 little Groms can be pretty good, but finally that Paladin has fulfilled his campaign oath, which was to kill that one little Grom in particular. Ice Guard getting a little bit more damage. Snow Leopard going to be jumping in to do some damage, and still doing great, but the middle objective looks like it could swing to Kislev here. We see a lot of cavalry kind of trickling in here. Kislev's still behind on value, but it certainly doesn't feel that way. Back objective is taken, and there's certainly a little bit of time to work with. But this is totally a situation where Bretonnia could hunker down to the back objective and try and Helm's Deep that. So I think that if you are the Kislev player, you got to spend some of those supplies and go for the back objective right now. You have to start playing a little bit wider, I think, simply because you really, really are in the back foot. At the current rate, Bretonnia will be winning the game in about 3 minutes here. So Ice Guard ripping some shots. Foot Squires do not like getting shot by these powder weapons. The Streltsy doing very, very good. And, I feel like Streltsy don't quite perform in melee as they should. I think they might have a little bit of a bug with their, splash damage, or, with their slash damage profile instead of, doing damage against single models. It's very, very weird. But, in theory, they should be pretty good against Knights Errant. They have high armor, relatively high armor, and good combat stats, so they should be okay at fighting those guys off in melee. But Bretonnia's holding on to the point. More shooting into the Questing Knights here, and we do get some Ice Guard Glaives, if I'm not mistaken, in the back coming in, and more Kislevite cavalry. Now, where did those Winged Lancers go? We had some Winged Lancers off in the Shadow Realm. Maybe they came back at a round, but they do get a nice charge. Knights Errant going to get completely buckled by that charge, and the Kossars of Spears and the other Winged Lancers from the Deep Vanguard are going to be doing battle with Questing Knights, which really is not cost-effective for Winged Lancers. They just want to pull back and shock charge, and do not want to be in sustained combat with, armor-piercing Great Weapon cavalry, so leave that for the Ice Guard Glaives. Get them in melee combat. They should be pretty good. But man, this is a really impressive game. And I feel like Kislev's in it. I really do. Granted, I do think Bretonnia has the advantage here, and they're more than likely going to win. I haven't watched this replay, but I do think that the Kislev players have been playing very well. I mean, honestly, I do think it's a Bretonnian favored matchup from my anecdotal experience. And, you know, the true Bretonnian is probably the best Bretonnian player in the community, so very, very impressive stuff. Ice Guard Glaives moving up. We do have two of them. One's going to be getting here and the other one here, so pretty good capture weight. Men-at-Arms are expendable, so they have pretty terrible capture weight. Nothing to worry about there. So it's starting to swing. And the Kislevite Cavalry diving into the backfield, which is a good usage because Buyer Blood's going to proc, and they'll occupy Bretonnian back here for a long time. And now they're going to be getting onto this. But the question is, are the Kislevites going to wrestle the back objective? And finally, Kislev has actually passed the Bretonnians in value. You can certainly see the gold army value on the field right now. So the Kislevite army, its standing army, is objectively stronger than that of Bretonnia, not by a ton, but by 500 gold, which is essentially the equivalent of like a unit. Buyer Blood being a very good trait. And again, I think Kislev is a faction that has really good roots, a really good foundation. And I think once they get a couple more units so they can play a little bit more diverse in their strategy, things could be changing. Now, I do like this a lot. We see some Cossars with Spears moving to the back point. It's going to be incredibly tough for Bretonnia to wrestle this point. And obviously, the Prophetess of Beasts isn't, like, amazing. And you have to remember, Kislev has been doing all this without their lord. Like, Katarine got karate chopped pretty early on in the game, but she's, you know, she's watching from afar from her ice throne. Cossars with Spears moving here with a Capture Cat. That should be enough. Man, a minute 30 seconds. This is so tense. I mean, if Bretonnia just sent some cavalry over here, they probably win the game. But we do see another Capture Cat coming. I think Kislev needs to be spamming their dervishes and just piling into this point. So the Capture Cat's going to start capturing. It's not a Capture Cat anymore. That was a term from the beginning of Warhammer 3 when they had essentially unfair capture weight. They had as much as like infantry. It was really stupid. So people would just be like using snow leopards. But yeah, looks like Bretonnia might be losing the game. We do have the Cossars with Spears moving around, looking to jump on objective number 1. Absolute lunacy. This has been one of the better games we've had in a long time. So very, very big shout out to you guys for sending me this one. But 1440, guys, we got some men-at-arms moving over. Bretonnia is being pushed back, and it looks like the Kislev army value is getting even more pronounced here on the battlefield, as Bretonnia is going to be panicking for sure and sending whatever they can. But this objective is going to be flipping, but there's a long time. I mean, Bretonnia certainly has the opportunity to get an objective back, and if they do, probably what you do if you're a true Bretonnian is you save up for like 2 cav units, like 2 Knights Errant, right? And then you just summon them and you bum rush the back objective, which is undefended. So you kind of keep scrapping with these units, making like that's all that you have on the battlefield, and you go for like a big bait, and then you pull your characters, although they're both flying, so they don't have any capture weight, but like you can go for that back objective, which I think would be the correct play here. But it looks like Bretonnia is going to be trying to brute force the middle, which I mean certainly could work too. They might be able to break the Kislev position, but Kislevites are very hardy people. A lot of men-at-arms coming onto the point here, and we do see some men-at-arms here getting taken out by the Cossars, shot to pieces, despite their silver shields. The Snow Leopard able to feast like the Heathen Kings of old. 792 value on that guy. Ice Guard Glaives pulling back, trying to get out of the range of the archers. We do have the Streltsy firmly in position, ripping great shots, but Bretonnia is getting a lot of units on that point, ladies and gentlemen. And to the back, we got more Cossars coming up. Cossars with great opens. It does not look like Bretonnia is going to be going for the back objective. Just face to the middle objective, meet the Kislevites head on. Big cavalry fight in the distance here on Death's Pass, which I think is pretty fun looking at. The background's really cool, like all these big mountains and ranges and things like that. A Winged Lancer, 1600 value. I don't think it's from their initial lifespan here. I think they've been summoned multiple times, which probably would be the answer to that question. In the backfield, Bretonnia going to be summoning in more Knights Errant, just trying to brute force that middle objective, which if they take an objective, Kislev simply won't have enough time to get it back. And I mean, maybe it looks like they might be able to. The Kislevites kind of folding a little bit here. Granted, the capture weight of the Bretonnian infantry is really, really haggard. Kislev does have more troops coming up, and looks like they're saving for something, maybe like a Griffin Legion, a Winged Lancer. A Zargard Great Open, would, if it could get to the middle objective, would probably end the game. I simply don't think that the forces of Bretonnia have enough to really push off a Zargard Great Open, although maybe the Questing Knights could. Yeah, they're mostly summoning out Knights Errant, just kind of trying to get desperation units on there. And here we can see the Streltsy battling against the Spearmen at Arms. Really need to get these Cossars up at the point. You don't want to be giving up any capture weight here. And I mean, the Ice Guard Glaives will fight for some time, but these Men-at-Arms with shields, of course, absorbing the shots pretty well. Really need to get up on the point. This could be potentially a game-losing blunder. If these armored Cossars don't get their capture weight on the point, Bretonnia might be able to get this back. Oh, you need to move up. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Get up on the point. So they're moving. Currently, you can see 4 minutes and 20 seconds. We do have Zargard Great Weapons coming. And these guys need to just like force path because their capture weight is not here. If they moved right here on the edge of this point, oh my goodness, that would just be, Bretonnia would not have the capture weight. So now I think he's trying to move on. Zargard might be able to get there in time. The true Bretonnian trying to hammer this off. He obviously knows. And you can see the Kislev player realizes this maybe a little bit late. The Zargard will flip the capture weight, if I'm not mistaken. The capture weight is currently 1.4 in Bretonnian's favor. Zargard will be 5. I love this mod. Shout out to Climax for it. It's great. But the Zargard Great Opens will be able to flip that most likely. Man, this is so close, dude. What a stressful game. I would be sweating bullets if I were either player right now. Now here they come. Zargard are force pathing onto the point. No, you need to move them a little bit more. Come on, keep moving it. I don't want to see it go like that. Just the one. Okay, so they're on the point. But Bretonnia managed to get some more units on here. It looks like they got a couple more cav units. And now the objective has flipped. Kislev has gotten it. And we'll see if the Zargard can hold on, man. 3 minutes and 23 seconds. This is so close. I think you just get dervishes at this point. Just like dervishes, just get bodies up on that point. The Zargard are going to be pretty excellent at breaking this Bretonnian formation. They do have winged lancers backing them up. We do also have some ice guard glaives. The double snow leopards coming back in could definitely get 3 capture weight apiece on the objective. So in a way, I guess they're still capture cats. They certainly still have that relevance, but here we do have the Zargard Great Opens continuing to fight. Armored Kossars moving up, as well as winged lancers. And the Bretonnian formation appears to be buckling to the might of Urson. The Kislevites doing their thing. You know, the lady isn't truly here. You know, the Fey Enchantress is off doing something else. If the Fey Enchantress were here right now, though, man, that Mortis engine would be super, super good. Although sniping Katarine was a pretty money play, but I think in the long run, the Fey Enchantress is still better. Like a Dwellers Below, like on top of this blob, and the Mortis engine, and the utility she brings to the battlefield as like a duelist character, I think is just objectively better. But I really do like that tech. I think it's pretty cool. So 2 minutes and 29 seconds. It's getting to the point, you know, where even on 1, maybe they'd be able to get it. I mean, obviously he needs a couple hundred more points for that. But Kislev is really, really routing the forces of Bretonnia. Those Zargard Great Opens are just chewing through everything. And the Quest Knight's doing a decent job. You can see the Prophetess getting in there. Might as well get her in there and have her go after some of the Snow Leopards. She still does have 200 plus weapon strength, so not terrible at all. Streltsy going to continue ripping shots. Middle objective is not flipping, though. Kislev is really, really sitting on this point. Snow Leopards chasing down some Knights Errant, which is good. Probably want to route them back to the middle, and on the side point, it looks like a little bit of a cheeky play. You do get some men-at-arms with shields moving over after the Kossars. The thing about men-at-arms is they only have 2 capture weight, so when they get to that side point, it's going to take them like 10 years to wrestle that objective anyways, and Kislev would be able to reinforce pretty quickly with some dervishes, although maybe he didn't. I don't know if I've seen any dervishes this game. I don't know if he brought any in his core army. So Zargard moving up on the point. And we do get Foot Squires coming in. Foot Squires do have full capture weight. They have 5 capture weight. But Zargard Great Opens, even 62 models, probably going to be able to beat them down, especially with a little bit of Overwatch fire coming in from Janathor's gun line back here. Oh, and now we have the Ice Guard Glaives. These ladies going to be tough to remove as well. I love their animation. It's like so fast and furious looking, but they rip some big shots. And continue to shoot in here as we do get the Winged Lancers once again meeting the defenders of Fleur-de-Lis. We got epic cavalry fights, infantry fights, all sorts of neat stuff. Zargard with Great Opens, battling through the Foot Squires. And man, oh man, the value differential taken over by the True Bretonnian again. Their armies are like the same size. And this point looks like Bretonnia finally going to be breaking through here, but is it too late? We got 10 capture weight in the middle objective. Is there going to be a response from Kislev? Yes. The Winged Lancers have arrived. The Polish cavalry of Warhammer will be on their way to protect the back objective, and they should be able to buckle off those men-at-arms. No problem, ladies and gentlemen. As we get more defenders of Fleur-de-Lis moving up in the middle point. I think it's almost to the point where they could win on 1. And like I said, it's only 1.35 capture weight considering the damage to those models. So I think the Winged Lancers are going to be able to punish them. And don't worry, I'll make sure you guys get that sweet, sweet cinematic view to potentially end the game here. And yes, now, if I'm not mistaken, it would be a victory, even if they did lose an objective. But we still want the epic Winged Lancer save here at the end. The Zargard Great Weapons were able to beat down those Foot Squires. What chads? 2,000 value, continuing to fight against Knights Errant. And here they come for Urson. The big charge coming in. These men-at-arms certainly not going to be wanting to meet the fist of the Frozen North here as these guys do charge in and give a righteous beating to those men-at-arms. But, you know, very brave of them. That was probably one of the best games I think we've had in a long time. So big thank you to Janathor for sending that, as well as the True Bretonnian. Appreciate you guys. That was an awesome game. I think that's like Warhammer 3 Hall of Fame. That was super fun. Every moment was just exciting. It really like encapsulated the good things about domination mode, right? 2,000 value. Zargard were kind of cool, although the other ones didn't really accrue much value, did they? Looking here, Winged Lancers were awesome. Streltsy didn't do bad. Zargard did fine. Capture Cats were essential and really actually not bad on these Ice Guards. 1,700, 1,100, 26 on that one. For the True Bretonnian, yeah, obviously we saw the Questing Knights just be the MVPs, 100%. I really do think that Fey Enchantress would just have made that game way harder for the opponent. But yeah, I mean, obviously getting rid of Katarine early is really strong. Like Kislev didn't even get to do anything with his magic. So I guess there's a point to be made for both sides. GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and we will see you all on the other side.